Hello and welcome to the Keep It Local Maine podcast, where we tell the stories of local business owners and Maine residents and learn more about what they do, who and what inspires them, their challenges, successes, and more. My name is Todd Regalinski.
And I am Kimberly Regalinski.
And we are the publishers of Keep It Local Maine, a local magazine that helps showcase local businesses to the people in and around their communities. Thank you for tuning in to our weekly podcast that you can subscribe to on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. You can learn more about us at keepitlocalmaine.com and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram through the links in the show notes.
This episode is sponsored by Fabian Oil, a family-owned and operated business that offers heating oil and propane delivery, services, and repairs. Fabian has been serving central and northern Maine with propane and oil for over 30 years. As a local Maine business, they cherish the relationships they have formed by serving the people of their communities. In 2019, Fabian entered the southern Maine region with a heating oil acquisition, and they have recently brought propane to the market. They are aggressive and would love to be your supplier. Give them a call at 207-793-2044 or visit fabianoil.com.
In this episode, we'll be talking with Tristan Gagne of the Pure Experts. Having spent the last 10 plus years doing business in Mid-Coast and Southern Maine, Tristan has earned a reputation for finding solutions to complex problems by putting honesty and integrity first, being able to bring the very best out of his sales reps, and ensuring that anyone that does business with him and his team is truly blown away by the level of care and service they receive. With the Pure Experts, Tristan has brought that method of doing business to the booming air purification market in Maine and New England. With partnerships such as the Portland International Jetport, City of Portland, Westbrook and Freeport schools, and dozens of other businesses, the Pure Experts with their ActivePure Technology by Aerus is rapidly becoming a very familiar name.
Welcome to the show, Tristan. Thanks for coming in today.
Thank you guys so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Once again, coming in like there's a studio.
Our virtual studio, okay, Todd?
Our delusions of grandeur. Wow. Kim is feisty this episode. So
I am playing right along, man. So thank you so much for having me come into this beautiful studio, Joe Rogan. I appreciate it.
Oh, there we go. I don't think we quite have the same numbers that Joe has, but that's all.
Not yet. You don't have those numbers yet.
We will get there.
Exactly.
So Tristan, thank you again. Can you explain what the Pure Experts do and what services you offer?
Yeah, for sure. So the Pure Experts, we are a multi-franchise location of Aerus is our parent company, AERUS. Everybody may remember them from like Electrolux, Aerus Electrolux. Everybody's grandmother had an Electrolux, but our particular company has really pivoted, and we provide the world's first scientifically proven, FDA-compliant tested COVID-killing air purification devices for residences and businesses, and it works both in the air and on surfaces. So it's an unbelievable time to be part of this.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
When you say FDA, did you say FDA approved or FDA?
FDA compliant.
Compliant. Now, exactly how do they measure that, and exactly what does the filtration system do that kind of kills COVID in the air and on services?
That's an awesome question. So, we have done multiple rounds of FDA, basically testing at FDA compliant laboratories that were validated by third parties. And we do have one piece of equipment that is actually FDA approved. It's a medical device for surgical rooms specifically, but uses that same technology in our other devices that we'll be talking about. But really what it does, a lot of buzz right now is around, hey, if you want to protect yourself, use UVC lighting, add HEPA filtration, and all those things are great and they have their place. What ours does takes all that technology, puts it into one device, but the big thing is our ActivePure technology. Most air purification systems are considered passive, and what that means is that you have an air purifier in a room, and that if there is some sort of allergen or pathogen or viral particle or bacterial particle, it's got to go around the room, eventually get sucked into the machine, and you're hoping that that particle is captured and not, thrown out through the front of the machine. With an active technology or an active system, we're actually taking humidity out of the air and we're turning it into H2O2 or hydrogen peroxide. That's then filling a space. So whether it's a classroom or a business, once somebody, that room is eventually filling with these micro oxidizers, if you will, And so if somebody has a cold or something, they have a flu, they have COVID, and they sneeze, these particles are binding to those viral pathogens and puncturing the cell wall. And we have studies showing that we were able to obliterate COVID with our least powerful machine on its lowest setting in under 3 minutes.
Wow. Wow. So that brings me back to something you said. So businesses. So tell me some of the types of businesses that you work with and some of the types of businesses that have these systems in there.
Yeah, so as far as who we work with, there's nobody that we can't work with. We have a lot of wonderful partnerships right now, but there is not a business out there that would not somehow benefit from what we have. We have solutions that protect as little as 500 square feet all the way up to 20,000 square feet.
Wow.
We have a solution that is very scalable and customizable for the project itself. And some of our partnerships right now, we're very proud to announce, actually, this hasn't even been announced on social media yet, but I can. The Portland International Jetport is our newest client.
Wow.
They put our big time. I mean, we're so excited to work with them. Their team over there has been phenomenal. And they placed our system specifically in the areas where people are going to potentially have their masks down. So the food areas, places of high crossover. So we're very thankful to work with them. And you'll see that on their social media and their website within the next few days. The Freeport School District, RSU5, Westbrook Schools, City of Portland, Sugarloaf Ski Resorts has our equipment in there, Blithyn Burrows, Nine Stone Spa. I mean, I could go on and on. We have so many valuable partnerships. Berlin City Auto Group. We've been very, very blessed to have as many great partnerships with some of the biggest names in the state so soon in our business endeavor.
That's great.
That's awesome. Now, when you have this system and you say it's scalable, is it required to hook directly into someone's HVAC, or can it be standalone, or is it kind of an either or depending on the space?
It is actually an either or. So while we have solutions for the HVAC system and, same type of concept, filtration plus ActivePure technology, we really find that the standalone units, aside from the fact they don't cost any extra money to install them or have an HVAC specialist come in and tear apart your ductwork, add that construction time to that. Our standalone units, you plug in, that's it. You can plug something in, you're good to go. Need to install anything different, anything super technical, it's plug and play. And we really found that the optics, having this physically out there instead of hiding it in an HVAC system, gives both employees and customers such an overwhelming peace of mind when they understand what this equipment does, when they lay eyes on it. They always ask business owners and staff questions about it. And a lot of them that go into businesses that have these end up buying them from us on their own because they're so blown away by the technology. Being able to see them, we feel, has been a very, very impactful thing on everybody's anxiety that a lot of us are feeling right now.
That's phenomenal. Yeah. I know I would feel a lot safer going into a business knowing that they had this type of system, or any place. It would definitely, I can see how it would definitely give people peace of mind.
Yeah. Well, and especially being able to see it.
Yeah.
That's just a whole other, I mean, it's one thing to hear like, oh yeah, there's this, but when you can see something and, you're not really seeing it work because, unless you're Superman, I'm guessing you're not seeing air, but you're seeing it there, so that's it, just that extra peace of mind that, yes, I've seen it with my own two eyes sort of thing.
It makes a huge impact. For sure.
Yeah.
And that's exactly it is, if we put something, in the HVAC system, it would be the same as if I didn't, right? I could just say, yeah, no, we got something purifying the air. It's up there hiding in the metal ductwork and nobody would be any the wiser. And that's not to say that that's what people are doing, but really being able to lay eyes on these pieces of equipment and understanding what they're doing. We have multiple cases of, business owners who hadn't seen certain employees for months on end. And then they install these pieces of equipment and suddenly, they're closer to full staff than they've been since the start of COVID because people know what these are doing. They can lay eyes on them every day. And we certainly see the same with coming back too.
That's amazing.
That's great. Now, just another quick question about that is what kind of maintenance is there involved in a system like this?
One of the greatest things about our solution in particular is that it is very low maintenance. We have a 5-year warranty on most of our solutions because they are built to last a very long time. And then on a yearly basis, you're only changing the filter once a year. They're rated for 12 to 18 months in most
Wow.
cases. We have some competitors out there that make you sign a contract saying you have to replace the filters every 6 months, and then you find out the filters are $500 or $600. And we don't do anything like that. We help clean them, to go to businesses to clean them, to make sure that they last as long as possible. You do have to replace the ActivePure cells every couple of years, as well as the UVC light bulbs. But compared to the cost of potentially shutting down for 2 weeks if you have a case, it's really a drop in the hat.
Oh, totally.
That's
I
phenomenal.
mean, that's pretty hands off for something that can potentially make that kind of difference. That's really great.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, when you talk with clients, what are some of the ways that you kind of work with businesses? Again, all the way from small up to bigger size businesses. How do you work with them on educating them with air quality, purification, filtration, all of those things?
Well, it's such a great question, because it's such an important part of what we do that I feel like is often overlooked, or not represented enough in our field. A lot of business owners have had to suddenly go onto Google or go onto Amazon and try to become air purification experts overnight by reading a comment section of a review section of Amazon, and that's of course not really going to be completely helpful. So they're armed with a limited amount of knowledge. One thing that we do is really focus heavily on education, and so that includes things like doing a free air check for every business that we're in, so that we can see the health of their environment currently. We also make sure to take a look and talk to them about what they've already done, right? Because a lot of people went out at the beginning of COVID and bought HEPA filters that, looking back, turned out to be too small. And so viral particles just go in one side and right out the other. So making sure that whatever they've done currently is effective, and letting them know. I mean, I have like a chart for HEPA filters that shows, here's a viral particle, here's a bacterial particle, here's the size of smoke, here's the size of dander, so on and so forth. And we look at what filters they have currently, look at the size chart, and it really visually, brings to life for them. Oh my goodness, I installed this thinking it was going to be like a really good hockey goalie and just stop everything that was thrown at it. And then, of course, that aha moment that I haven't done enough quite yet, or maybe I was misled. So education's an important part, letting them know exactly how the machines work too. We don't expect anybody to just believe it. It's a complicated technology. It's a highly scientific approach. And to some potential businesses, it sounds like snake oil. They're like, there could just be a hamster running around in the wheel. How do I know that this stuff is actually getting dispersed into my business? We work with them on, showing them data and studies, things that we've done in the past, current clients on a national level, like every Major League Baseball team's locker room uses our equipment. We have a lot of amazing national clients, and, just making sure that they are aware of all the things that they could be doing with their air and surfaces, or that they're staff and customers.
That's huge.
Yeah. I mean, I imagine the education piece is kind of an invaluable piece, because as a business owner, you kind of like what we work with. We're in marketing and advertising. I don't know 100% what a person's business is when I go to design an ad for them. So I want to know from them. Tell me about it, because I can't be educated on everybody's business. I know enough to get a vague idea, but I want more than a vague idea. And everyone has enough trouble, not enough trouble necessarily, but enough stuff to keep in their head for their own business, and being able to educate people on this, I imagine, is huge. Because again,
Education
like you were saying,
is
this is a huge step that everybody has had to kind of take and get into. And man, if you're like me and didn't do well in science, I imagine it just gets exponentially more difficult.
It does, and a lot of people, they want kind of a brief overview, right? It's okay. Well, how many, how much square footage can this machine protect? And that might be one of their only questions. And then what does it cost? And then we have some other people that really want to drill down into the entirety of the scientific process and how it works. How are you guys pulling in humidity through the back of this machine and converting it into H2O2? Is H2O2 safe to breathe in? Things like that. And they really want to go through the minutia. And whether you're on one side of that spectrum or the other, I've always believed in making sure that we're providing value. So whether you purchase from us or not, it's irrelevant to me. I want to make sure that whoever you buy something from, whether it's us or someone else, that you know exactly what you need to be looking out for, and that you're not depending on a degree from university to make a very important decision for your business, especially at a time like right now where you can't really afford to make a mistake. We've seen a lot of small businesses buy 2 or 3 or 4 different solutions, and none of them are correct, or they were just really sold something that doesn't do what it says it's supposed to. So making sure that they have every piece of information they could possibly need to make a well-informed decision today or 5 years from now, it's just really important to us.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Wow. So how has business changed for you guys over in the last year or so? How has that changed through all of COVID?
Yeah, we have 2 sides to the business. We have a residential side that does air purification, water purification, vacuum cleaners, and then our business-to-business side is relatively newer for this particular company, and it's a 96-year-old company. So, kind of suddenly having a national business-to-business campaign has been a huge, huge change. Our team up here in Maine has really spearheaded that charge and kind of become the blueprint for other franchises in the country, and which has been a really exciting time. But I think the big way it's changed is that there's a really big awareness now on air, and the quality of the things that we kind of take for granted every day, right? If I gave you guys contaminated water and said drink it, you wouldn't. I would hope.
Right.
If I gave you guys contaminated food, well, it's we've all had those tequila nights, so I don't want to say.
Depends how hungry I am, actually.
Well, that's it, right? Exactly. So if I give you a contaminated double cheeseburger and say, go ahead, eat this, no, of course you're not going to eat that. Well, maybe depending on how hungry you are. But, the air around us has been, especially indoor air quality, has been a very prevalent issue for over 30 years now. And people just kind of assumed like, well, the outside air is bad. That's where all the smog and, CO2 buildup is and stuff. But quite simply, when you have a new couch brought in, that emits VOCs and gases that are unhealthy to breathe. You have, when you move into a home or a new apartment that you're renting, that can potentially have years of dust mites, of dander, allergens, pathogens, things that have just been sitting there. So I think really the big way it's changed business for us is that businesses and homeowners understand now that their quality of their air is extremely important. Keeping things sanitized is extremely important, and air purification systems. It's not just about COVID. These things really do great in a lot of other ways. You see less call out times at schools and daycares, less sick days for employees, and we have a lot of studies to show those as well. And it's great to see people take that seriously, because you're not just investing in something to keep your employees and customers safe from COVID. You're investing in everyone's health and wellness when you take that seriously. So I feel like that's how it's really changed things.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's huge. Yeah,
and there's no bottled air to take advantage of, like bottled
Not yet.
water.
We're working on that.
Not
I'm just
yet.
kidding.
Okay.
I just watched the Lorax with my 2 boys, so that is hilarious. That is hilarious.
Nice.
Well, hopefully we don't get to that point. But at least for the time being, we have these in our home. My wife would wake up every morning with a sore throat, scratchy throat and a headache. And just from sleeping. We do good with cleaning and everything. We put one of these machines in our bedroom, and from that initial day until now, she hasn't had any of those issues. We put a couple in our boys' daycare. Suddenly sick days and stuff are going way down. So it's been, it's not just something that you can tell it's working no matter what, because people around you will really be able to feel various health impacts, whether they're asthmatic or have allergies. It just makes an instant noticeable difference for homeowners and businesses.
It makes me think of like hotels. When you go to hotels and you wake up in the morning, it's always dry and stuff like that.
Yes.
I would think this would be great for hotels.
Well, think of how many hotels they're all carpeted.
This. Yeah.
100%. Yeah. And
if you're a hotel
again,
owner,
they go in there
and
listen, I'm not hating on hotels, but they usually go in there with a $90 vacuum cleaner that is going to pick up a couple of things. They give it a couple of quick passes, but are you really sterilizing and cleaning that hotel room every time you turn it over? No, there's no way to do that without like a deep clean. So these are great for that. We are in talks with a couple of different hotel chains to see who would like to, add these as a safety feature into their value proposition. And of course, with hotels and chains, they would be adding these to hundreds of different hotels across the country. So it's kind of a time-consuming process, but we're really anxious to see who the first early adopter of this technology is, because I think going forward, it's going to be in every hotel, motel, casino, you name it. People are really going to demand that every business has a system like this.
Yeah. I mean, even after COVID, if you can cut down on just
Right.
the stuff that's floating around in the air
For
from
sure.
people just being, regular sick instead
Yeah.
of COVID sick,
Yeah.
that's a huge deal. So, a question we frequently like to ask, mostly because we're always interested to hear the answer, but how do you define success?
I define success as a place where everything meets, where you have, of course, through business, you got financial stability, but you also need to be doing, and I've done that and still not been like completely content or happy with my success. And really, for me, it's about making sure that everything meets up. So the financial aspect, the fulfillment aspect for what we're
Mm.
doing right now, knowing that we're protecting school children, knowing that elderly people have a better chance of, being in a retirement center and not suffering if there is somebody that enters that's sick, being able to keep Maine businesses open. So that fulfillment needs to line
Mm.
up with the personal fulfillment needs to line up with any sort of monetary compensation, because
Mm-hmm.
you're getting just money, but not really selling anything or doing something that you're passionate about. It kind of makes it
Mm-hmm.
irrelevant. So it's got to be
Mm.
something you're passionate about. I think doing something good is a huge part of
Mm-hmm.
that. And yeah, just changing
That's
lives, right?
huge.
Both with the employees and the customers and partnerships we have. Our sales reps are able to create a new future for themselves. And subsequently, these businesses are able to give themselves another tool to stay open. So for me, success is making sure that all those boxes are checked off.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, for sure. What's the biggest lesson that you've learned in the past year or in the past couple of years, kind of going through this? What would you say you've learned?
Well, that's that we're all it's almost like a collective traumatic experience in a lot of ways, and I'm,
Mm.
I'm always amazed at the resiliency of human beings and how they adapt under the most extreme of circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of businesses had a lot of pressure put on them to do everything that they had been doing consistently for the last 5, 10, 20, 30 years, and flip it on its head and start doing curbside delivery and making their entire store's inventory available on the internet. And so I just like to see everybody adapt. And so I think the lesson that I've learned is that we have to always continue to adapt, and it is far better to
Mm.
be an early adopter of newer technology than it is to hope that nothing goes wrong, or
Mm.
to kind of shove away things and by saying, well, we've done it this way for 20 years, so therefore
Mm-hmm.
it's
Yeah.
successful. And my retort to that is always, well, so did Blockbuster.
Right.
Mm.
That didn't really work out for them. And you got to be able to adapt quickly. And it's been great to watch a lot of businesses do that. And we've certainly had to do the same, to grow, to adapt, to change on the fly, to meet our customers and partnerships needs. And it's special because this has been difficult for everybody. And I love to see everybody succeed. I know that hasn't been the case for everyone, unfortunately, but I think everybody's been really resilient, and that resiliency for small businesses has just been impressive and stood out.
Mm. For
Yeah.
sure. That's powerful.
Yeah. And it's always that lesson of, even if you're not of the earliest of adopters, there's a certain point where if you go past that, it's going to take a lot of time, effort, work, and maybe money to catch back up.
Mm-hmm.
Big time.
And that's always a tough one to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
It is. It's extremely tough. I look at, just taking a couple of examples. If you look at, have you guys ever gone to a real estate website and toured one of those 3D, like a 3D
Mm.
listing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So those are done with Matterport cameras. And I know a couple of friends of mine that were trying to sell that technology or the ability for different real estate websites or realtors to be able to offer a 3D view of a facility. And most
Mm-hmm.
of the real estate offices were like, no, like, we don't need that. Like, what's the point? Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And, we've never done that before. Nobody else does that kind of thing. Well, if you look now, every realtor out there
Mm-hmm.
has to have a Matterport camera to stay relevant, and they have to
Yeah.
do the 3D. And air
Right.
purification is no different. If you haven't
Yeah.
done it yet, you feel like I don't need to do it. Vaccines are on its way. COVID's over. Whatever the reason may be, um, I mean, that's fine. But eventually, you are going to have to put some form of air purification system into your business. And
Right.
so whether you're an early adopter, like you said, Todd, or you end up doing it later and spending more money because there's more competition in the market, newer, more expensive
Yeah.
technologies that maybe you have to stack on top of each other, and you didn't start until 5 years after everybody else did. Who knows what's going to happen?
Right.
Just
Yeah.
better to do it now and keep everybody safe and take social responsibility as seriously as you can.
I like that.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
Another question that we like to ask, again, selfishly, because we kind of like to hear the answers to these, but we're sure that they're interesting to other people too. We hope they are. Who or what inspires you?
I like a good comeback story. I like a good underdog story, man. I like hearing about people that were extremely resilient, overcame a lot of adversity. I certainly relate to that. I had multiple traumatic brain injuries that were misdiagnosed and undiagnosed, and spent almost half a decade in kind of like a concussed fog. And, we put like cereal in the fridge and milk in the cupboard. And my wife would be like, "Did you just put, cereal in the fridge?" And I'd be like, "No, I haven't had cereal in 6 months." And I was serious. Wasn't just trying to get out, not be in trouble with her. And so when certain stories that have inspired me over the years are what encouraged me to keep pushing and make sure that to whatever extent I could heal myself, I did. And so there's a lot of those, but I don't want to hear about the guy that was born on third base and thinks he hit a home run. I want to hear about somebody that came from absolutely nothing, did all the right things, could have fallen onto a different path, could have gone down a different road, but overcame that adversity, did the right thing, and then made something of themselves. I think that America's full of those stories, and those are the ones I gravitate towards.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you have a favorite, just out of curiosity?
Honestly, I don't think I have a favorite necessarily, but the owner of our company, he's somebody that inspires me daily because I'm known as the hardest worker pretty much anywhere I end up. And him and I push each other and inspire each other to continue to do better. So when everybody else has gone home for the day, him and I are still doing our thing 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night. And to see how bad he wants this for everybody to have these air purification systems to better and enrich everyone's lives, that honestly is super inspiring to me. And so we kind of feed off each other's energy.
That's great.
Yeah. So we always like to ask this as we wrap up, because we love Maine. We love everything Maine. What is your favorite part of living in Maine? Is there a favorite place? What are some of the favorite things that you really love about Maine?
I spent about a year of my life in New York. I spent about a year of my life in California, and I came back home. And one of the reasons that I did that is quite simply the variety. And, we can go to different parts of Maine and meet entirely different types of people and visit entirely different types of restaurants that are completely different depending on what season it is. You know what I mean? So there's just a ton of variety. I think the people in Maine are some of the kindest, selfless people you will ever meet. I've traveled extensively, and the people here are very special. I think that this is also a great place because it's where, I'll get up on my soapbox a little bit, but this is a place where kind of the caveman skills never went away, things that we should never turn our backs on, being able to build a fire, being able to hunt, being able to fish, being able to build a home, being able to work with your hands. And so, being able to get a group of people together, if you did the same thing in California and said, "Here you go, cut a hole in the ice and get a fish out of it," they'd be in trouble, big trouble. And, and for us, we know how to do all those things. So I think it's just a good balance of we have some fast pace, we get some good nightlife, plenty of places to eat and drink, but also there's some amazing human beings here that haven't, lost their way, and they still have some of those innate skills that we get further away from as technology continues to advance. And of course, the summer is phenomenal and all the beaches, but that's kind of a generic answer. So
I love that. That's not generic at all.
No, that's great.
That's amazing. Yeah, I love that.
I mean, I don't have any of those skills, but
me either. But
there are definitely more people than not.
I got put on notice a few times, hanging out with friends and they're woodworking and stuff, and they're like, "Here, give me a jigsaw," and I'm looking at them like, "What is this? The movies? What is a jigsaw? Am I building a trap for somebody? Like, what, that's a real thing? Oh, the character's named after a jig. Okay, got it." And so I've had to touch up and brush up on my own skill set, and I'm definitely happy to say I may be able to potentially build something completely useless at this point, but it'll hold together.
There you go. That's what counts. Is if it stays together long enough for you to maybe identify what it can be used for.
What it could eventually be used for. Like it's an A-frame. Like for what? Oh, I have no idea. But check it out. If I can punch it, it is rigid. It will stay together through multiple kicks.
That's right.
Yep. You can muckle right a hold of it and just take it right outside.
Yes.
You sure can. Impress some people with your skill building.
Yep. Well, Tristan, thank you so much for taking
Yes.
time out of your day and talking with us. We really appreciate it and sharing with us. And I feel like we've learned a lot about
Absolutely.
air quality and how to to keep people safe and all that. We really appreciate it. Be sure to call the Pure Experts. We'll put their phone number, we'll put their website, social media. We'll put all that in the show notes, and that way you can get in touch with them. And for all of your residential and commercial air purification needs. And thank you, Tristan. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Wish you all the great success in the world.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you again to our sponsor, Fabian Oil. Be sure to contact them for all your propane and heating oil needs using the information in the show notes. And thank you for listening.